Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, joined by a lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy, CJ Vogel, and joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton as well. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate all your participations, questions, comments. We'll try to address many of them as we can. We'll also get to all of your super chats. You know how that goes. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. We are going to have a very special guest joining us around 7:30. The future Longhorn. I could say current, but it's not official. Future Longhorn Lance Jackson is going to join us coming up at 7:30. So we're really excited about that. You get a chance to talk to a really, really exciting prospect for the Longhorns. Also, we'll get into UTSA. You got a big game coming up. Well, I don't know about a big game. It's a game coming up for the Longhorns. They just had a big game, all right, beating Michigan. But we'll talk about UTSA, make some predictions about that, and look at the macro in the SEC and talk about some of the SEC matchups that's coming up this weekend. And we'll get you your recruiting updates while we got Jerry Hamilton and CJ Vogel here, two of the best in the business. So we'll get you an update on recruiting. Jerry, how you doing, brother? I hadn't talked to you in a while. How's everything going?
I'm great. I'm filling out my prediction for Saturday to get the chat going. I want to hear your prediction score for Saturday. I'm going 59-6.
Ooh.
So you did talk it down a little bit.
Wow.
Only 6 points.
59-6. Yep. That's where I'm headed Saturday. I don't think there's going to be a letdown. I'm not rat poison, blah, blah, blah. We're here to talk ball. I'm not worried about that with this team. I think the emotion of fans are going to carry the day as well. And I think this team is got a little sense of focus and mission about him, and I think there's a mud hole coming.
Ooh, I like it. I like it, Jerry. That's what
look, Jeff Traylor's one of my guys. Known him for 2 decades. Not his best team. They're a little young, inexperienced at the wrong spots, and Texas is experienced about everywhere.
CJ, if that Texas State game is any indicator, then man, Jerry might be on to something, because they put a Old Testament style butt whipping on UTSA, and yeah, GJ Kiddie and Jeff Traylor are close, man. That's a family thing right there. And if he put it on that way, yeah, see, Jerry, they're echoing something close to you. But Texas did put a goose egg on Colorado State, right, and get 50 plus on them.
And Rod, to your point before the show, Colorado State's got better offensive weapons than UTSA this year. So how are they going to score 6 is the question.
That's exactly I was going to get to. I agree with you. I say Colorado State actually maybe a better team right now than UTSA. At least better offensively they are.
Yeah. I mean, look, UTSA couldn't run the ball or stop the run last week. That's bad news when you're going to play a big bad boy SEC team.
Ooh, look at these scores. 54.
Yeah, it's fun to say that now, huh?
Yeah.
10.
And Texas has played that way on the offensive line. I mean, we've seen it with 2 offensive linemen of the week in the SEC conference already. I'm sure they're ready to look ahead at these 2 weekends as ones in which you can assert your dominance early. And I don't want to say pad your stats, but Rod, I mean, you were part of some games, I'm sure, at the time where you can look at it coming in and say, yeah, I'm getting my numbers this game.
I've got advice to all the cheerleaders that do the flips in the end zone the next 2 weeks. No soft drinks. You don't want to be cramping up in the third quarter.
Hey, CJ, back in my day, man, that was Baylor and Kansas back in the day, man. That was stat. Yeah, we stat padding, man. It's time to put up some numbers back in the day. That is no longer the case, as we know. No, you don't have that kind of game versus Kansas back in the day. That was the old Big 12. Someone says road runners go from beat to deep bleep. Well done. Well done there, Edward. Well done. I like that. That's good stuff. UTSA's previous quarterback qualified for Social Security. Yeah, I mean, it's Frank Harris. This is the first year, right, that Jeff Traylor does not have Frank Harris as his starting quarterback. He was around those COVID kind of holdovers from the COVID years. And that's why now he's rebuilding this thing. By the way, I think Jeff Traylor is a hell of a coach. So I think he will figure it out, but I just don't – it ain't this year. And it won't be against Texas.
The G5 teams have a real issue nowadays in college football because of the portal. It's nearly impossible to go on a 6 or 8 year run, because if you have a good D lineman, Trey Moore, if you have good offensive linemen, those guys are getting poached off your team in the portal. It's hard to have continuity and success over a 6 or 8 year period in the G5s moving forward. It's just going to be really difficult because of the portal. If you make good evaluations, especially on the OL or DL, those guys are gone.
Yep, no doubt. Okay, how about this? Because I hear people saying this in the chat that Sark might take his foot off the gas. Didn't Sark say this week that he wants to make it like 60 minutes of hell for his opponents?
Yeah.
Is that real, or is that just Sark talking, and talking hype? Is that real? Because there is respect among coaches. You know that there's a brotherhood among coaches, and they don't necessarily want to embarrass each other. There is that. Mac Brown might have went overboard in the sportsmanship department at times. But do we think Sark? Hey, thank you for that, Matthew. Do we think Sark's really gonna pile it on?
I think it's more an emphasis to play each down, each play as if it means something, right? Texas was up, 25 in that fourth quarter against Michigan, and things were out of hand. I mean, you were up 50 or whatever against Colorado State. It was out of hand, but you still wanted your guys to go out there and play as if that next play meant a whole lot. That's what helps instill that culture, Rod. And of course, you look at it in terms of getting those guys confidence and getting valuable reps on the field. If you're a third stringer or a guy that's fighting for some of those garbage time snaps, I mean, these do mean something for you. And if you're trying to impress the staff, no better way to do that than when you have those opportunities. So I don't think you'll see Arch or Trey Owens really throwing the ball 30 yards down the field whenever it's 45-0 or whatever come the fourth quarter. But there's going to be coached hard. We saw that against Colorado State. Arch on 4th and 6 makes the wrong read, throws an incompletion, ball turns over. What was the hardest moment we saw Sark going after a kid the entire afternoon? It was on that play in which the game was already well out of hand. So just more and more of that instilling of the culture that Texas has done a great job of so far. To the point, though, I think you'll see Sarkisian start to run it up early with Ewers in that first team offense before their day is done against UTSA. I think you'll see them run it up there.
I want to be clear on one thing. My 59-6 is Sark not running it up.
Ooh.
You're just saying basically Sark running plays, with the same guys they run with the backup wide receiving core. Yeah, backup tight ends. They're still that much better than UTSA. They'll still make their way down the field and score points. Arch Manning is that as the second string quarterback. He's still that much better than
a pick six, a strip score, the things that happen
special
in an overmatched game.
Special team score.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I mean, look like I said, what they did to Colorado State makes me believe they could get one of those numbers because they eased up, it seemed, on Colorado State a little bit too, and still were able to put up huge numbers.
For Quinn, for his Heisman campaign, these next two games, you cannot have an interception, right? You got to play clean football. If that's the conversation that you want to have later on in the year, this is the two games that you want to go out there and combine for 8 passing touchdowns and no picks. Get those numbers looking nice and juicy, as we've seen with other quarterbacks across the country, right? Who's Jackson Dart played so far? Was it Chattanooga and Furman? Those numbers look nice and juicy. By the time the SEC play comes back around and you start finding, those numbers will find its level. Of course, you got to find a way now to pad those stats and make them look nice and presentable. That way you can start having that argument come at Heisman time.
Yeah, good point. Maybe the deep ball, like you brought up, CJ, in our preview, maybe the deep ball comes back in these next couple of games, gives you some of those easy yardage numbers, those easy points. All right, before our special guest comes on, I want to hear some of these super chats, guys, and thank you very much. UT Boy, appreciate you. Always good to see family out there in the super chats and in the conversation. UT Boy says, woodshed. GH.
Hey, by the way, I noticed your new picture, UT Boy, in there. I noticed your new picture.
I like that. Yeah, straight cash, homie. Nate, thank you very much, Nate, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Do players still have COVID years? What starters on the current roster do you expect to return for 2025? Their COVID years are almost run out, aren't they? They're really getting close to it anyway.
Yeah.
They're getting close to it. You probably in the last year, I believe maybe in the these next 2 years, you'll be done with COVID, guys.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Of course, it's early to say right now with the way that we've started to hear about guys behind the scenes, Jerry and Rod, maybe surprising some NFL folks. It's hard to say that some of these players might be coming back after the start to this year. Of course, we're now looking at it in which their stocks are probably at the highest after this past weekend. So we'll come back and revisit that here in 4 or 5 weeks. Of course, after the Georgia game, another opportunity for these guys to really cement themselves on the draft boards everywhere else. But hey, Texas has talent, and they're going to need to reload again next year because there's a number of big time talent wise, seniors, talent guys going to the NFL after this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, it's a chance for them to have double-digit guys drafted again, which is wild considering you had 11 of them drafted last year. Jose, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. It says, Jerry is having Arch for maybe another 2 years and recruiting help with recruits with their own personal marketing, getting to play with a Manning.
That's actually a tremendous question. I do think it's played into it a little bit with maybe a couple of guys. But these kids are still making so many individual decisions nowadays, especially where NIL is involved. I don't think let's just, for instance, let's just say there's a wide out receiver out there, and one school's NIL package is $150,000 more for him than maybe Texas's is because of where he's at on a board or wherever. If he had a chance to commit to both those schools, I don't think that kid is making the decision to go 100, 150 less than an NIL package to go potentially catch passes for March. That's where I think recruiting is different now because of NIL. So much of this comes down to those NIL packages. And if there's a big difference with one school to the next, and that kid's the kid's looking at that as a major thing for him and his family, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is over here in school X. He's going to go to Y because that changes him and his family's life a little bit. That's what I would say. But I think it helps for sure. I think there's a couple of guys it's helped with.
Yeah, no, good stuff there. All right, let's hit Hook'em Casino here. He says running backs will have, thank you very much, by the way, Hook'em Casino, for the super chat. Says running backs will have over 250 yards, and I see Manning with 3 touchdowns. They go 60 minutes defense with 2 turnovers. Hook 'em all day, every day. 3 touchdowns for Arch. That's a lot.
That's a lot of shovel passes from the 5. Hey, here's my thing, Rod. I want to ask you this though: if you were UTSA, how would you play this game defensively? Would you just play too deep, just play off, and make them throw everything underneath, and hopefully have like 4 6-minute drives, at least holding the 4 6-minute scoring drives? I mean, if you're UTSA, how would you go about playing Texas?
I mean, honestly, that's more in line with their identity. Last season, they were in 2 deep safeties with the middle of the field open as much as any team in the group of 6. That was, kind of their go-to defensive identity, is to have 2 deep safeties. So I would imagine that's what Texas is going to see a lot of. And they just want to force Texas into double-digit play drives to make their way down the field, which I imagine Texas is fine with getting chunk yardage of just instead of the chunk yardage plays, getting 6 7 yards at a time, unless Sark feels like, hey, he wants to open up the offense against UTSA and explore the deep ball. But I doubt it if they're going to have those 2 deep safeties. So that's how, if I was UTSA with the limited resources they have, I'd probably just try to force Texas into double-digit play drives and in making mistakes, whether it be penalties or whether it be, self-inflicted wounds of some kind. Because, you could try to go after Quinn, but I don't know if you got the resources to be able to hold up on the back end if you try to go after Quinn. And Quinn, by the way, against Michigan, went after him, and Michigan, couldn't get to him, and he played magnificently under pressure.
I think that's scary tape for UTSA watching that, saying, "Oh,
what do we do?
No sacks against Michigan." Ooh.
Yeah,
I think we'll just play off.
Yeah, we'll just play off, and hey, man, we'll just come up and try
to
in front of them. Yeah, keep it in front of them. I think that's what they're going to do. But Jeff Traylor, like I said, when he always brings something, schematically to the table, and he did last time he played Texas. I don't know if he has the resources this time to do it. All right, running backs though, I like that take about running backs having a big game in this game. I can see that just overall as a unit.
I'll throw out a wild prediction because we're having fun at this point, right? Either Jarrett Gibson or Velton Gardner will go for 100 yards on Saturday.
Oh, nice. I like it. That's a good one. I'll take the Jerry Gibson one because he gets just chunk yards at a time. He just
Gibson lead the team in rushing again against Michigan. I know it wasn't a lot, but I know it was like 35 or 38. But
10 for 38, I think. Yeah,
I think he did. I think he out yardaged unless Wisner got him, because I know he had more than Blue. So that's quite the start to his career if he's a
I mean,
leading
think
rusher.
about it in the fourth.
Well, Brian Wingo, but
They need
Yeah,
him.
think about it in the fourth quarter. Velton Gardner could rip a 65-yarder. He gets 6 carries. He's over 100 yards.
No, you're right. They needed him though. I mean, once that Jaden Blue got nicked up, I think everybody had a little collective gasp. And man, Trey Wiseman was great after that.
Yeah.
So was Jared Gibson, young Jared Gibson. And I said it, CJ, at the beginning of all this. I said, I don't worry about that running back room. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. They've established themselves. They've earned my trust at this point. That running back room just keeps it moving. There's a culture of excellence happening in that running back room. So they've done a great job, and Jaden Blue's going to be fine too. But I wonder how much Jaden Blue will play in this game. That's why I like Jerry's prediction. I think they might pull Jaden Blue pretty quickly. Him and Trey Wisner, actually, if you can.
yeah. Hey, Sark's got to find a 1,000-yard rusher somewhere. You know, you got to keep that streak alive, right?
Ooh, I think
this year.
Dude, it might be tough to get that this year, man. I ain't gonna lie. That's gonna be a struggle this year to get that 1,000-yard back this year. We'll see if Sark can keep it going. Okay, one of my predictions, I think you'll get you'll get 3 sacks. You got 1 sack so far. You'll get 3 sacks by the Texas defense in this game. That's what I'm predicting. Because they've had major issues in pass protection, guys.
Yes.
Major issues. If you go to their website, I went to UTSA website, they have their quarterbacks taking 7 sacks.
Yes.
Which I think Pro Football Focus had it at 6. They had them taking 7 sacks, guys. So, and they have them taking 15 hits. Their quarterbacks, both of them, in that time, Owen McCowan and Eddie Marburger. So, if in 2 games they've allowed 15 quarterback hits and 7 sacks, then Texas should be able to get to those quarterbacks early and often, especially if Texas is up big in the game.
Yeah.
No doubt. I would say if you don't get to them more than once in the game, then you can start freaking out about the edge rush. Then I'll allow y'all to freak out about how effective the edge rush is or ineffective if they can't get to those quarterbacks more than once. There you go.
Yeah, I think I put it up on ontexasfootball.com on Monday. Just kind of the loose preview. Right, I think I said 5 total sacks.
Woo!
Again, after this game, you should be looking back at the 3-game accumulation in terms of the statistical season numbers and be like, oh yeah, this room was right where you want them to be, and it's going to be all because of this game for the most part. But I mean, that offensive line allowed 24 pressures to Texas State. I can't imagine what that's going to look like after Colin Simmons, Trey Moore, Ethan Burke, Barron Sorrell start pinning their ears back and getting after him. If they're going to throw the football again at a 60 to 40% split, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, no, because didn't Kennesaw State they played?
Yeah.
Didn't they have 5 sacks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you might be on to something, CJ. I was being conservative. CJ went all the way out. He went to 5 on me. All right.
Well, Jerry can't be the only one having fun out here with predictions. I got to toss my hat in the ring somewhere.
I like it. No, I like it. Yeah, mine's not crazy. I'll have a crazy prediction before we get done tonight. Let me conjure one up. I'll give you that. All right, before we finish here and get to some more questions, let me thank one of our sponsors, Andy Ludicky. Really excited about Andy Ludicky and our partnership continuing. If you're looking to diversify, you may be someone like me that has their hands in multiple businesses. Well, Andy can help you diversify by finding you businesses that will fit your time allotment and your financial goals. You can call him or email him today to learn a bit more about this great opportunity. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your financial destiny and you're stuck in the corporate rat race with 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money you can make or your schedule in general, call Andy today. He will take you through a process that will help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. So give him a call, 404-973-9901. Or reach out to him at Andy@myperfectfranchise.net. Thank you very much to Andy Ludicky and his team. All right, let's get to a couple of questions here.
Well, Rod, speaking of sacks, here we go. I think our special guest is here.
Oh, let's go.
Whoa, Lance Jackson. Speaking of sacks, boy, the Atlanta Jackrabbits got some on week 1, didn't they?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Lance? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Nothing much. Just, focusing on trying to win right now and be good on the offensive side too.
Yeah. Y'all had a tough one against Paris, but kind of talk about your first 2 games, kind of where you're at this year. Is height, weight. Give everybody an update. Height, weight for you, where you're at this year. Kind of what have you thought about your first couple of games?
So my height is 6'6", and I've gotten down to about 260. I'm trying to get down to maybe 250 just because I'm in high school ball still, and my weight fluctuates so easy. So I mean, I'm trying to get light right now just so I have a bunch of speed because I'll play the offensive side too, tight end, and then right after the season I'll get it back up. But I mean, in the first 2 games, I mean, I felt way more confident than what I have in the past. I mean, everything's just coming kind of way easier. I mean, the first game we had a pretty good win, but it was against kind of an undisciplined team. And then week 2, we kind of our offensive side, we just couldn't get things going. We shut them out on defense. They didn't score against us at all. They beat us with a pick 6, so that was kind of a tough loss. But now we're getting ready to face Dangerfield.
So you've been on both sides of the ball so far, Lance. I mean, talk about that juggling of offense to defense. And then I know a lot of folks, we're watching your huddle, obviously. We're seeing you off the edge. For folks who haven't seen you as a tight end, I mean, what kind of prospect are you there? And have there been discussions about possibly playing on the offensive side of the ball at the next level at all?
So there was, but I mean, that kind of has died down. I mean, ever since just got late in commitment, I think I'm just going to stick to the defensive side unless when I got there they wanted to change me or something. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. But right now I'm thinking it's defense.
Hey, Lance, you know, they used a couple of D linemen on offense, man. You know, Byron Murphy, Devondre Sweat. You can always, situationally, goal line packages. They can use you,
I would do whatever.
Yeah. No doubt. Hey, can I ask you this, though? What have you added to your game this season? Great athletes like you, man, they always add something to their game or something to their skill set that they didn't have previously. What have you added to your game?
I mean, this offseason, I really just been working on my pass rush because, trying to constantly have a motor all game on every play. Don't really take any plays off because my sacks haven't really been where I've wanted them to. But I mean, in 2 games, I had 2.5 sacks. I mean, I'm chasing my brother's record at PG. It's going to take a minute to get there, but I mean, that's the goal.
Nice.
Lance, that was going to lead me into this question. I mean, are you and Bro going to have a bet before the Texas-Arkansas game? How's this go down in the family?
Nah, I mean, I've just been telling him that I want him to have a really good game, but I mean, I still want them to lose. So that's all I've been saying.
Of course. I mean, Texas coming off, one of the biggest games of the season so far. Let me get your thoughts on what you watched of Texas when they went up to play Michigan in Ann Arbor. Obviously, a big win there. Defense looked good. What were your takeaways from that?
I mean, it's kind of what I expected. I mean, I kind of expect that all season from them. Just seeing how much work they put in, how much people they've got out of the transfer portal, just everybody that has come back. I mean, I feel like it's expected from them all season to, go all the way and dominate everybody, especially with the defense they have. I mean, they're 3 deep in every position. Everybody can play. Got true freshmen that are playing. I mean, I feel like it's what they should be doing.
Hey, Lance, we had a question from the chat. They said, who do you model your game after?
I would say probably Max Crosby, just from the motor. I try to have like him, and then Jalen Phillips.
I like that.
Ooh, I like Jalen Phillips. That's a good one right there.
Hey, so one question, another question we've had, it hadn't been on the chat, but it's been asked before on our morning show. Do you plan to graduate in December? Are you staying for spring for baseball? Where I know you were kind of contemplating that last year. Where are you at with that?
I'm coming in December for sure.
Okay. What was behind that decision for you?
I mean, it's really just kind of just what I kind of thought was best for me. I mean, I've talked to my brother with it, and I've talked with other people that have done it. I just feel like it's what's best for me, with me trying to just get my body right, get where I need it to, and just have more time.
So does that mean, are you going to walk on over to Jim Schlossnagel's office and throw 195 just to see if he has any interest? Kind of what's the long-term plan?
I mean, you never know, but I mean, the plan is just sticking with football right now.
Hey, I was going to ask you, had you been talking with Jonah Williams at all since he committed to Texas about, maybe starting up a slow pitch intramural league whenever y'all get down to Austin? I mean, you guys got some talent on the diamond.
We haven't really talked about the baseball, but I mean, it would be something pretty cool. But I mean, I had it in the back of my mind, but I'm not really sure right now. I'm thinking it's just football.
Yeah.
Hey, Lance, I wanted to ask you. So you're one of the early commitments in this class. And I think it probably caught some people off guard how quickly you made your decision. So for the people that maybe are just getting to know you, the Texas fans just getting to know you, what was really behind that Texas decision, and when did you know?
I mean, it's really just how hard Coach PK was recruiting me. I mean, he's recruiting me the hardest out of everybody. Most people thought it was Arkansas, but I mean, he was coming at me more than Arkansas was. So, I mean, it just made me feel wanted, and then I just loved it in Austin. And then also Landon also got recruited by Coach PK. Landon knows how good of a dude he is, and he had a good Landon was trying to take visits to Washington when Coach PK was there because he liked him so much. Like, I mean, a kid from Texas don't try to take a visit to Washington. It's crazy. That's how you know he's a good coach. So, I mean, it's really that, just mainly Coach PK and seeing what they produce.
I remember. Go ahead.
Have you talked to the coaches about how they want to use you as an athlete on the defensive front? Have they got into that a little bit with you?
So all he's really told me is just I'm gonna be more of the just handing the dirt D line, but I'm gonna be learning everything.
I remember speaking with Landon at SEC Media Days, kind of getting an idea of what it took in your recruitment. Obviously, he said that he thought he was pretty close to getting you to join him in Fayetteville at one point, but Texas ended up winning out. Since, as Jerry mentioned, you've been a part of this class now. You've seen it kind of build up and kind of take form as it is right now. How fun has it been to see guys commit and join this class and also kind of share the same vision of playing for Texas and achieving, ultimate goal of winning a championship?
Yeah, I think it's been really fun just because, I mean, people were kind of doubting us at the start because all the people we thought we were going to get kind of was going other places, and Coach Bo Davis left, our interior D lineman left. But, I mean, it's just kind of now everybody's jumping back on the bandwagon, kind of when you see all the five-stars committing and we're getting all of our commits back and we're flipping dudes. So, I mean, I feel like it's just kind of been cool to be able to be on both sides of it and just see all of it happen.
Anybody on the team that you're kind of close with or you talk with, or any of the recruits? I mean, who are the guys you're closest with right now?
I mean, since the season started, I haven't really talked to a bunch of them. But, I mean, like, when I went on my official, I feel like I got pretty close with Zena. I mean, I feel like he's a cool dude. I mean, he doesn't try to act any type of way. And then, I mean, the recruits, I kind of just talk to them all regularly. I don't really have, like, a super close relationship with them yet. But, I mean, we text here and there.
Anybody y'all are still working on, man? Who would you want to see join the class?
Shoot. I mean, I don't really know now. I mean, everybody that I was recruiting, we either got or they've committed somewhere else. I mean, and so I really Michael Terry is one that I want, but that's probably the last one that, I mean, I've even been told to recruit. So, I mean, we've got most people we've wanted.
I believe you have homecoming this weekend, right? Is it homecoming weekend? When's the next time you're going to be in Austin?
I'm not for sure. I have to see. I think I have it somewhere, but I because with Landon's games and then Texas games, I have it all. I'm like on the calendar.
Nice. All right. Well, any of you guys any other questions for Lance? Because
Lance, we went over it earlier today. We went through some score predictions for UTSA coming up this weekend. Anything that you want to see? Any score predictions, stat predictions? The defensive end room. I said they're going to get 5 sacks this week. You got anything on your mind that you are hoping to see on film this weekend?
So, I mean, I want to see a shutout. I feel like that'd be cool to see, and then
like that.
I can see 5 sacks, and I want Colin getting 2 of them.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah.
Last thing I have for you, Lance. When you talk to Landon, how much does he like break down your film for you? Do y'all get into like technique and from you to Landon? Do y'all get that deep in the football, or is it more just, all right, man, we just have our conversation as normal brothers? I mean, does he help you with your technique? Does he break down film?
We'll have our normal conversations, but then he will also – so we have this thing called Texas Game Day where they live stream all of our games.
Right.
So he watches them most of the time. So, like, after the game, he'll tell me, like, what he sees I'm getting better at or, like, what I'm not doing as good. I mean, and then also in the off season, he's worked with me. So he kind of knows what I've been working on and everything he's been trying to like preaching to me. Or like if my bend's not good enough, he'll tell me. If it's looking better, he'll tell me. Or I'll tell him we have a scout card. I'll tell him who I'm playing this week. Like this week, I got to go against a 6'8", 330 guy. So it's kind of just getting advice from him, seeing how to play with it, and seeing what to do.
Ooh, well, buckle up. I can't wait to watch that tape. That's for sure.
All right, Lance, thank you very much for taking the time to join on Texas football. I know the chat's loved it, man. 1,800 people watching you. Good luck Friday. Have fun at homecoming. And I speak for the Texas fans. Looking forward to watching you this spring wearing the Longhorn uniform.
So thank y'all.
Thanks, Lance.
Wow.
Hey, gotta be excited about that.
Look, guys, he's we've talked about it before. I know Bobby and I were talking about it. CJ, I think we've talked about it before. Rod, wow. I'm not sure we've gotten this discussion, but the jumbo athletes at their position is what really impresses me in this class for Texas. Whether that is Lance Jackson, 6'6", 260 at edge, who's going to be 6'6", 280 and running 4.6. Elijah Barnes, if you haven't seen his senior tape, Texas fans, I tweeted it out. It's really good stuff. 6'2" and almost 6'3", 239. Jonah Williams, big safety, 6'3", 205, 210. You look at some of these bigger athletes on the defensive side of the ball, Rod, even for their position, they're jumbo athletes at those positions. That's what really impresses me in this class, among many things.
Yeah, and I think the versatility in their skill sets. I mean, I've been listening to Sark talk about for this entire offseason, and it's being applied in scheme, in development, but also in recruiting. I think they're recruiting just more versatile guys, and that's why I asked him about how they wanted to use him, because with his frame, he's going to be playing multiple shades. I mean, there's no doubt you're preparing a guy like that to play multiple shades on a defensive line, and that's what you're starting to see with a lot of those guys. I mean, now they're bumping Baron Sorrell inside against Michigan. You saw the defensive tackles playing multiple shades. They seem like they have everybody on that defensive front, or at least a lot of those guys, including, of course, a lot of the defensive backs too, that are able to fill and able to execute multiple roles with the defense. And I think the guys they're recruiting are also along those same lines. I think they are also versatile pieces, and I think that's what the future and the vision is for the defense going forward.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting listening to him talk about how fun it's been to see the 5 stars join the class. And Jerry, I know you've been a guy that's been very high on Lance since you saw him back in the spring, and even before then when he committed originally. That's what a 5-star looks like off the edge, right? The 6'6", 265, 270 will get up to 280, 285 if the body holds up, right? But that quickness and that burst is what really separates him. I believe it was the second or third clip that we watched of his huddle. Whatever that quarterback was moving around incredibly well.
He was trying to go from Atlanta to Hooks as fast as possible. Okay.
But, I mean, just that ability, and you see it at times with Zena and Colin Simmons on their high school tape a year ago, just that ability to change direction after getting off the football as quickly as they have. This is how you continue to stockpile and get guys on campus at a certain position that are game-changing players. That's one of them. That will absolutely be someone that makes a heck of a career here at Texas.
There's been some questions in the chat. Do we see him eventually being a 3 or a 4 iron? Look, I think he can play some 4. I think he can play some 5. But in the SEC, if you have a guy that's 6'6", 280 and is that athletic, Rod, he's invaluable on the edge. Because here's the thing. Texas is going to take 4 or 5 interior D linemen in this class. They're planning on Lance Jackson being on the edge. Yep. Now he's built perfect for your NASCAR package, Rod. Like perfect for your NASCAR package.
Yeah.
But he's going to be an edge player at Texas because he's so athletic at that size.
Yeah, no, that film is crazy. The film when he's that piece where he's watching the quarterback and the quarterback's changing direction and he's just mimicking his every step and movement. It's amazing, real time.
Yeah. It's almost like Top Gun chasing the MiG, right? It was just like you're not shaking him. Hey, Craig Johnson. Hey, Craig Johnson has a question we need to get to. What are the chances Zealous Hicks commits to the good guys tomorrow? That's the 2026 4-star safety out of Carrollton, Georgia. a little bit southwest of the Atlanta area. I think it's pretty good. I put up some thoughts on ontexasfootball.com on that. We'll see when he announces tomorrow afternoon, but I think that one's been pretty positive for Texas here in the last 48 hours. Tremendous prospect. He is. Obviously, the final schools are Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia. I don't think Georgia's really in it. He's got family in the DFW area. I don't think if he picks Texas, I think it's a possibility the whole family could move to the DFW area. So we'll see what happens. He's been on campus 3 times. Blake Giddings been recruiting him for a while. And then you have Kenny Baker and Tashard Choice, their connections in the Atlanta area, greater Atlanta area. So there's a lot of Texas recruiting in Georgia's changed. Now, this one, Hicks does have connections in the state of Texas, family in the state of Texas, but it's changed adding Kenny Baker and Tashard Choice to the staff in the state of Georgia, in the Atlanta area. Because Kenny Baker's from Georgia. His father was a coach in the area for years. Obviously, Tashard Choice. So that gives you 2 guys with a long-standing connections. That gives you a chance to open some doors in recruiting there. It'll be a big pickup. Obviously, everybody's going to come to the next question: or is he going to stay 26 or 25? We'll see what he decides on that. It's possible. I've heard.
Okay. All right. Getting to the super chat. Longhorn Football Edits. Thank you for the super chat. Says, that's my guy Lance. Ready to see this monster in burnt orange. Thank you for the super chat, Longhorn Football Edits. Yeah, he's the size. I just can't believe it. He said he's 260, trying to get down to 250. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Wow.
Rod, haven't seen him in person. I think he's going to be 6'6", 280 when it's all said and done. Yeah, and it's going to look really good in a uniform.
Yeah, you talk about first off the bus type of guys.
Yeah,
that's one.
Yeah.
And NFL scouts are going to love the fact that.
And by the way, the biggest news out of that interview, guys, he's not playing baseball in the spring. He made the decision to come to Texas in December. 17 to 21 guys in last year's class were early enrollees. I've said this before, unless you are tremendous at the other sport. But the good thing for Texas is Jonah Williams and Lance Jackson have made football decisions. I mean, that's pretty big for both of those guys, because Lance Jackson humps at 95 miles an hour on the mound. And Jonah Williams obviously is a true MLB top 3 round level prospect if he said tomorrow I'm just going baseball. So that's big for Texas. Two tremendous 2-sport guys with real possibilities have made football decisions. And I can't tell you how big that is to get Lance Jackson on campus for spring football.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Hook'em for life here says, thoughts on Keelan Russell's comments on our wide receivers. Thank you for the super chat. Are you guys familiar with the comments?
I haven't. I don't know if CJ's seen that. I have not seen that.
I haven't seen it either. I'm not sure. Are they good? Are they bad? I don't know.
Hook'em for L. We'll get back with you on that. All right.
Bring up what he said. Bring up what he said if you got it. I just haven't seen it. I'm sure it happened on social media.
Okay, there you go. I'm sure it's very salacious of some kind. It seems like it. All right, thank you for the super chat, though, Hook'em for L. We appreciate that. All right, getting back to some of the questions here, and I know there's a couple of topics that they want to talk about. We'll get to some of the SEC schedule stuff, and maybe we'll get back to some of our wacky predictions for the UTSA game. But a couple of questions here. Michael says, evening, fellas. Question 1, do we get a commitment from Zealous Hicks? Question 2, will there be a lot of recruits in the Texas versus Mississippi State game?
Yes. Yeah, those are the 2 games. Texas is going to have some guys. We need to go over who's going to be there this weekend because there's 2 big ones. But Mississippi State and Georgia are the games that Texas is really going to have a lot of kids at. Mississippi State, I think Javian Hilson will probably be there for that game. I think Myron Charles, Josiah Sharma, maybe Chase Sims, A&M commitment from Richmond Randall, a few other guys. Kelshawn Johnson told me yesterday he's going to be at the Texas-Georgia game. Somebody else, I'm drawing a blank. Somebody else told me, Kosi Okpala, the 2026 stud linebacker at Mady Creek. He told me Texas, Georgia's where he'll be. Those games are going to be loaded with kids, those 2 weekends. This weekend, though, you got Joseph Mbachtu, the defensive lineman, who I think his upside is just so high out of Grayson, currently committed to Florida. We'll see if that holds. he has Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee's at LSU. He has everybody coming after him. He'll be in this weekend. Michael Terry will be at the game Saturday as well. And there's CJ, there's going to be a few other guys, a couple of commitments, Nick Townsend and Elijah Bo Barnes. And then a handful of some younger kids, I think, as well will be there this weekend.
Yeah. Also worth noting that it was reported 2027 quarterback Peyton Houston will be on campus as well. Texas has offered 2 quarterbacks in the 27 class, Peyton Houston and Brady Edmonds out of Huntington Beach, California. Brady Edmonds will be on campus for the Georgia game as well. So as you start to juggle which recruits are coming to which games, you also start to juggle which kids are where on your priority list, more so for 26 versus 27. But in the case of quarterbacks, you never are too early to the punch in getting your guy for a class. Right now, Brady Edmonds, Peyton Houston, both of them on campus before the end of October. Those are the 2 guys Texas have truly offered and pursuing right now. And of course, Edmonds released a top 4 not too long ago. That included Texas and Ohio State, as it's perceived to be. Ohio State might be that team to beat at the moment right now. But those visitors lists will get longer and longer as we get closer to game times. I'll get a post up later tonight or early tomorrow morning on who's expected in for the UTSA game this weekend over on ontexasfootball.com.
One big name that's going to be at UL Monroe game is Jalen Lott. He told me that's son of James Lott, one of the top juniors in the country, I believe, as a wide receiver corner combo. He's going to be at the UL Monroe game because he has a game this Saturday for Panther Creek and Frisco, so he couldn't come this week. He'll be at UL Monroe, and he'll probably be back for Georgia unless he has a Saturday game. But Jalen Lott, turn the tape on. He's one of the best junior. Rod will love him. He's one of the best two-way players in the country in 2026 at wide out and corner. Dude, playmaker now.
Yeah, Rod, you'll really like this kid.
What's his name? I just write it down. What's his name?
Jalen Lott, L-O-T-T. As good an athlete as you will find in this class. He was previously at Lovejoy, and listen to this lineup rotation. His freshman year was at Lovejoy High School, right? They had Kyle Parker, Jackson. I'm blanking here. Lavender,
yep.
And then Parker Livingstone and Dalen McCutcheon. Those were the 4 wide receivers that they had at a time.
Damn.
Which meant Jalen Lott was moved down to freshman to stay with his class at the time.
Wow.
I never seen so many one-handed mossings and just overall clownings of kids at the freshman level than I did with his film. He then obviously bumped up to play with Dalen and Parker a year ago. Parker was injured most of the season. However, they were turning out some guys, and he's now at Panther Creek, turning it on this year as well. He's also I want to say junior Olympian or a state. Ooh. He's a triple jump state champion, I believe. Yeah. So,
damn,
heck of an athlete.
Hey, Rod, his dad was a 7'4" high jumper.
Good Lord.
7'4". By the way, so Keelan Russell apparently was saying on social media he was going to try to poach Lockett and French. I'm not as confident in Keelan Russell's prediction as he is. He's got Caleb Cunningham. He's good. He's got another good one. I'm not as confident as he is.
I like that. Thank you for the super chat.
But it's fun.
WTP Sports Dude says, is Sark's 1,000-yard rushing streak coming to an end with his 1,000-yard rusher? We talked about this earlier a little bit. I think it is in danger, actually, this year. I think it might be in danger. I think there may be some other streaks. One of my favorite streaks to track is the 30-40 club at Texas. Any athlete offensively, basically any skill position player that can get at least 30 rushes and 40 receptions in the season. It's so unique that the last guy to do it was Chris Obanaya. The last guy to do it before that was Eric Metcalf. Jaden Blue actually is on a pace to do it. It's very unique to have a running back or even athlete that can do it, that is that multiple. Jaden Blue, he had 6 targets in the first game. He had 6 receptions in the second game. Sark loves him in the passing game. He has a chance to be in the 30-40 club. First one since Chris Obanaya. So, yeah.
Yeah. Rod, it's funny to your point, looking at the Texas pass catchers, statistical leaders right now, and who has the most catches on the year this year. There's 3 guys tied with 9. Would you know who they are off the top of your head?
Oh, got to be Gunnar Helm is one, right?
That's one.
Is it the Bond? No, the Bond?
Bond's got 8. He's right behind.
Then Jaden Blue's got to be up there.
That's another. And the final one's Matthew Golden. But you
Wow.
see where they're spreading the football out, right? You know,
That's crazy.
Those are your 4 leading pass catchers, 9, 9, 9, 8. And it's the 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a running back. And those are the guys that you see on the field the most. It tells you who, you know, is trusted in this offense right now. But also, to your point, they're using Jaden Blue in all sorts of different ways to get the ball in space, to utilize that speed away from the big bodies of those interior defensive linemen.
Yeah, I think the plan initially was Blue was going to be the ultimate change of pace guy to use in, you know, on the edge and using the passing game. And as a compliment to CJ Baxter, then CJ Baxter going down, Blue had to take on more, but they're not going to totally, you know, disregard the plan they initially had for Blue, which is he's going to be a threat in the passing game. There's no doubt. All right. Thank you, WTP Sports.
Hey, can I pull one thing up real quick, Rod?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate really good smack talk. So Craig Johnson, he gets a tip of the hat from me on that one.
Keelan can't get his own high school teammate to join that battle.
Torian Moore's going to Oregon.
Wow. There you go.
I appreciate some good smack running. That was a good job, Craig Johnson.
All right. Hey, this is there's a good question here that I want to get to. But first, let's thank another one of our sponsors. Let's thank our good friends over at Home Field Apparel. Home Field Apparel is focused on creating officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs, ladies and gentlemen. They have a wide range of available colleges, 180 plus actually, and growing, getting bigger every day. They have a can't miss kickoff campaign right now. They have football boxes, coaches, jackets, bomber jackets. The highlight is their home field football box. And with their football box, it contains 3 never before seen unavailable items. You can't get them anywhere else other than Home Field Apparel, homefieldapparel.com to be exact. And also their Platinum Box VIPs will receive additional exclusive items, including a new hat or a ringer for Platinum VIPs only. The 2024 Platinum Pass guaranteeing 20% off and early access to your school's football releases throughout the 2024 season. So all you have to do is go to homefieldapparel.com. That's homefieldapparel.com. Use the code right there. Use the code Texas24. That's Texas24, and you'll get 15% off. The convenience of online shopping has never been better. Check out their vintage designs at homefieldapparel.com and use the code Texas24 for 15% off. All right. Here's this question from Todd. I like this. This is an interesting question. With team success comes potential loss of an assistant coach or two. Who appears to be the next Texas assistant coach to leave for a head coaching job, or even to leave for a promotion, I guess, is also something that's interesting. This is a good question, Todd. Who do you guys think? Who's right now going to be in line?
You know, it's a tough one for me because the G5 jobs aren't what they used to be. Like, I mean, look, Stan Drayton's at Temple. You're not gonna win at that job, man. I mean, it's like, so. Can somebody on this staff that hasn't had a P4 level job before get one right now? I don't know. I mean, like people will say, well, was Kyle Flood leave? Well, he was already a head coach at Rutgers. He's done well in life. You know, I think if Boston College had offered him the job, I think that would have been hard for him to turn down. He's up from Jersey, New York City area. Obviously, his name was mentioned for that. There's always a special circumstance, but I don't know, Rod, CJ. These G5 jobs are really difficult. Now, does that mean if GJ Kinney gets the Baylor job that Texas State won't come offer the job to Tashard Choice or Jeff Banks or somebody? No, it doesn't mean that. But those jobs they're tough over the long haul these days because of the portal.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Also, when you battle going to a school that maybe doesn't have the unlimited resources in the sense that you got to build your roster a different way, that's challenging, right? So, I don't know. Texas is paying a pretty competitive amount of money to retain these guys in the first place. Mm-hmm. And I believe, what was it? Last year, Sark said 8 or 9 of his assistant coaches had received some sort of head coaching offer or coordinator offer in the offseason. And as we saw, the only one that departed was Coach Choate. Coach Banks left a little bit later after that comment, but you did see at the time, Coach Davis, but you did see at the time that there is interest across the country in poaching some of these Texas coaches because they saw the turnaround, they saw the impact that they've had at individual positions. It's only a matter of time. You're going to see guys poached everywhere. We have seen and should give Sark the benefit of the doubt in who he does go after to replace these guys. However, a couple of really solid hires thus far in this current staff as well.
Somebody asked about Florida, Rod, the Florida job, and I think Kyle Flood. The Florida job will be controlled by Jimmy Sexton, so it'll be one of his clients that's already a head coach at the P4 school at a high level, in my opinion.
Good stuff. If I had to pick a coach that would leave for a promotion or another gig, because it would have to be something I'm going to do really attractive to lose one of the key staples. Right now, maybe it's wide receiver. Maybe the kind of the rotating door at wide receiver keeps happening because that's probably the position coach that's had the most turnover. Assistant coach position had the most turnovers, wide receiver, and it ain't all been bad. It was, obviously Coach Sark made a decision initially, but then brought in Brendan Marion. He got a promotion. But look at Chris Jackson's resume as a coach. He hadn't been places for very long. And some coaches are just fast risers. Brendan Marion was a fast riser. He's just trying to make sure that he continues to stay hot. And as long as he's hot, he wants to make sure that he's rising to the top as a hot name. And he doesn't want to lose that. He doesn't want to lose that appeal as a hot name and a fast riser. I wouldn't doubt maybe Chris Jackson. He's a pass game coordinator, wide receivers coach, and the wide receivers are doing really well now. You got 3 of them in the NFL. You got drafted last year. You're gonna look good again with how deep this wide receiving core. That might be one. And Sark actually is very hands-on with the wide receivers, so I don't think he freaks out about losing wide receiver coaches because he's really hands-on with it.
One thing you don't want to do as a coach looking to rise is wait until all your shine's been rubbed off. Go ahead and ask Matt Campbell how that's going right now, because he could have got basically any open Big Ten vacancy in the last 3 or 4 years, and he's still stuck in Ames.
Dude, the world of the street is he could have had that Lions job. If he really wanted to go to the league, could have took that job and I think Jeff Traylor's dealing with some of that too. Maybe sticking around places a little too long. All right, good question there. Let's get to
that was a good question.
That was a good question. Thank you for that one, Todd. Let's get to another question here. Steve says, with Gibson and Weiss are having success so far, is there a possibility Baxter finds himself behind on the depth chart next year, especially at the level choice has been recruiting? There's also another question. Ski Break brought this up too. Says, what's the chances CJ Baxter decides to transfer? Man, all right. So I guess those questions are kind of connected. Any thoughts here, guys, about this paranoia here?
No, well, first of all, I think the whole thing for Setter is how he comes back off the surgery, right? I mean, it's a major surgery. That's a full rehab, full time of rehab. If you want to put it 9 months, 10 months, whatever you want to put it at. He is not expected to go through spring practice as of what I've heard. So I think he's got a full rehab in front of him. So a lot of that's going to depend on how he comes back from it. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he's not, because I don't know. I'm just saying that we got to see how he comes back. I mean, he's a running back that had a major knee, right, Rod? I mean, there's going to be that's going to take you some time to get your confidence back, to get your belief in that back. So there's going to be a process with that. But with Cedric Baxter, Cedric Baxter is one of the leaders of this team.
Yeah.
I don't see him leaving.
He's a future captain type of player at Texas.
Yeah. I don't think transfer portal's in the picture at all for a guy like CJ Baxter. Again, he was a guy that was trusted this past offseason to host a number of big-time recruits as a true freshman, right? Or going into his sophomore year. A year ago, he was another guy hosting recruits as a true freshman. You don't see that type of trust all too often. It's moved more that direction, but that was a lot of trust for a guy that's out of state to come in and be handed right away. On top of that, Texas, right, week 1, tested immediately, right? They're playing Ohio State on the road. I don't want to say, that's a game in which he won't be used, but it will be interesting to see what his usage will be before getting the reins completely back. Of course, coming back from that injury without likely having a spring ball, you'll get some fall camp run, but how much of that will be live for him after what happened this past offseason or this past fall camp? it'll be interesting how quickly he's back into it. But luckily, this is all about 360 days away from when we will actually see this play into effect. And, again, things are going well in his rehab.
Yeah, no, it's obviously some Longhorn fans, multiple Longhorn fans. A lot of you guys looking down the line.
Hey, can we say this now? Can we 2 games in? Can we say that? Can we talk about this? How good would this team have been with Cedric Baxter?
Oh my goodness,
that's pretty scary.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good.
No injuries are part of the game, but that's scary, Rod.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that at all, actually, really. But that's a scary proposition. Because then there would be no weakness on offense at all. Not that the running game is a weakness, but everything on the offense would be essentially lethal because tight end now has turned into a strength all of a sudden too for you. There would be nothing that would be deficient at all on the offensive side of the ball. All right, Max here says, Rod, do you think Sark went more spread offense after CJ Baxter got hurt? And do you think it will help Quinn and the team in the long run? Thanks for the question, Max. I do. I think Sark is leaning more, at least early in the game. I think the early down pass rate, it was hovering around 58%, 60% versus Colorado State. Same thing versus Michigan in the first half, your early down pass rate. And it's not obviously deep vertical shots downfield there. A controlled passing game, right? We're talking about high percentage passes, RPO, quick game, screen game, second nature throws for Quinn. Very safe, high reward, low risk throws. And we know Quinn is marvelous in the short to intermediate area in terms of his accuracy and the timing and the layering of the football. So I think, and I said it when CJ Baxter got hurt, give the offense to Quinn. He's third year starter in the system. He's ready to ascend. Empower him. Give the offense to Quinn. And I think Sark is doing it slowly but surely. I love what he's doing in the red zone. Go look at the turnaround they've had in the red zone. One of the reasons they're a top 15, unit now in the red zone in terms of red zone offense, touchdown percentage in the red zone as well, is because of the straight drop back game in the red zone. They really changed it. It's just straight drop back in the red zone. They just give it to Quinn and they formationally engineer a one-on-one pretty much to one side, engineer a numbers advantage to the other side, and let Quinn pick and choose which one he wants. And he usually picks the one-on-one. He's just taking the one-on-one that's engineered by the formation by Sark. So I love what they're doing right now with Quinn. So good question there, Max.
I got a question. We got a question here that I wanted to hit on. Because, look, we're not players, so we can talk about future games, right? We're not looking ahead. We're not hurting the team, all any of that stuff. Look ahead to Mississippi State. I don't know if anybody watching the Arizona State Mississippi State game. Did anybody catch any of that? Okay, I watched that. I watched some of that. And then Skeetabo or whatever his name is ran. He had 270 rushing, about 295 all-purpose yards. The running back for Arizona State. He's a really, really good player, by the way. Will probably play in the league. He'll probably make a roster. But Mississippi State has some issues stopping the run. They still got some big, good-looking cats. Maybe not as many as they've had in past years, but they had some real issues stopping the run. And I'll tell you what's crazy is remember how much media attention came when Jaden Rashada transferred from Arizona State, the freshman quarterback to Georgia. The kid they got, Sam Levitt, I believe is his name, from Michigan State, is actually a better college quarterback. He may not be the pro prospect. He's a better college quarterback. So Arizona State's an improved team. They play at Texas State tomorrow night. But my point on Mississippi State is they had issues stopping the run against an offensive line that isn't exactly Texas or Georgia or Ole Miss, right? I mean, not Arizona State didn't have some good players, but they aren't that level. And then Blake Shapen, he's got to stop dropping his eyes under pressure a little bit. I think he left the progressions when I was watching that game, so that's going to be big for him as the SEC schedule moves along for Mississippi State. I think that's a bad matchup for Mississippi State against Texas.
Yeah. No, I haven't watched much of Mississippi State yet, but they do have familiarity with this Texas system and the continuity there because of obviously Blake Shapen is with it and Jeff Levy with it as well. So signed Oklahoma. So maybe that's a trap game. I don't even know if the Longhorns have any trap games really left on the schedule from what I've looked at.
It won't be Kentucky.
It won't be
before the season, I was like, that's a dangerous game between Arkansas and Texas A&M. unless they go to the Rutgers kid, Gavin Wimsatt. I mean, Brock Vandegrift's not going to inspire a whole lot of fear in the Texas defense.
Yeah.
Hey, Rod, I have a question for you as a guy who played at the college level. If I told you if you knew your coach had gone on a plane to leave his current job and was going to take another job, but the people, the higher ups at that other job he was going to take, stopped the plane and turned around and sent back, and suddenly he's your coach again. Do you play as hard? You play for pride.
Yeah,
but the locker room's different, isn't it?
Yeah, that's I mean, you're right. That would be a violation of the right. That'd be kind of a violation of the trust. It would be, but it's a different era now, because now with the transfer portal and everything, I don't know if loyalty has the same value that it once did. I'm not saying it shouldn't. I just don't know if it has the same value that it once did for anybody. And I like that there's still some of it with a lot of guys. That's why when you get guys like, players, when they show loyalty like that, it is special. Hell, now when you get coaches that show it, it's special too. When Bob Stoops retires, but he's like, nah, I'm basically a Sooner for life. Essentially, that's what I'm gonna be, and I'll do whatever it takes. The program needs me to help out, and coach up the coaches and make recommendations. I'll do that because he's loyal to the program. Like, loyalty is rare these days, man. In the day and age of NIL and transfer portal, in the free market, I can't expect it from coaches. I wouldn't really expect it from players really either.
The Kentucky players essentially had their coach jump in the portal and come back.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. You know what I mean? So these days, I don't, I'm not going to judge folks for doing it, because who knows what I would have done in that situation. Good question, though. UT Boy here says, Jerry Hamilton, serious question. Does Coach get Jonte more involved Saturday? Thank you, sir, and Hookem. Thank you, UT Boy, for the super chat. We appreciate it as always. What about Jonte Cook, guys? He's what's going to be his role in the passing game?
I'll be quick. Let y'all get to that too. I think Jonte, Silas, Wingo, Nyblack. I think these next two games are to get everybody more involved while still continuing to get more reps experience for Quinn and those frontline guys.
Yeah, I agree. One guy that needs to be added to that is, can we get DeAndre Moore just one reception this year? Just one.
Wow, a target.
He's been working his tail off on that.
He got robbed. He got robbed at a TD Saturday after.
He did. I expect to see some DeAndre Moore, but to your point, Jerry, you're going to see a lot of those quote unquote second unit guys get plenty of run these next 2, maybe 3 weeks. But my goodness, I'm with it. And Britt Rasco, I see your comments as well. You'll probably see Parker Livingstone out on these some of these games as well. So I've been reading them. Lovejoy has been getting tested, but this is not on Lovejoy football here, and I know my boys are going to go on a run. That's right, 14 straight. Watch that.
You should start on Lovejoy football.
Nice. I like it.
That would get hundreds of subscribers.
Getting a shout out.
You might get a comment on there.
All right, we got a super chat here from Juan. Juan wants to know what position coaches are better coordinators: running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, O-line. I'd go with quarterbacks just kind of naturally. It's not an easy answer, but O-line wouldn't be bad. O-line might be smarter than you think. O-line might be in there too. O-line and quarterbacks where I'd go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like offensive line just in the sense that you bring everything that you want up front, and that's where it starts, right? You understand the blocking schemes. You can bring somebody in with the idea of, play call, concepts, everything. But if it starts up front, you have the building blocks to build a good offensive line or defensive line or whatever it is. I actually like safeties in the second on the defensive side of the ball. I think just being able to see everything in front of them, getting that idea of what every role is. Linebackers, you're seeing it right now, Rod, in the NFL. Look at some of the most recent hires, D'Amico Ryans. These guys that played linebacker in the league have all of a sudden made headwaves everywhere in what was a pretty offensive-driven league. But I do like my offensive linemen and quarterbacks on the offensive side of the ball there.
Yeah. No, you're right, though. DBs make really good coaches.
That's going to be Michael Taft one day.
Yeah, no, Saban was a DB. Wasn't Kirby Smart a DB?
Yep. Yeah, and
Right?
Muschamp.
Yeah, Muschamp's a DB. Mike Tomlin D? I got to go back and look at that. But you're right. Some of the best coaches have been DBs, though. DBs is it's very underrated in terms of their transition to coaching. Good question, there, Juan. Appreciate you and appreciate that super chat as well. All right, let me tell you. I know we're getting close to the end of it. I got a couple of topics I want to bring up before we get done. But let's thank once again our friend Andy Ludicky for sponsoring our live stream here tonight. If you're looking to diversify, you may be someone like me who has their hands in multiple businesses. Well, Andy can help you diversify by finding you businesses that will fit your time allotment and your financial goals. If you're stuck in the corporate rat race with just 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money you can make or your schedule in general, call Andy and he will take you through a process to help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your destiny, call Andy today or email Andy at andy@myperfectfranchise.net or give him a call 404-973-9901. So thank you very much to Andy for sponsoring our Wednesday night live stream. I'm going to ask you guys just real quick about the SEC slate of games this weekend. Are there any games in the SEC this weekend that are piquing your interest? Obviously, the biggest ones at Alabama.
I know where you're going, Jerry.
Yeah. I'm going. It's getting swampy up in here. A&M at Florida, must-win game. I think in a way for both teams. And
really?
It's definitely must-win for Napier because you never want to get fired when you're walking off the field. That's the one thing you want to avoid. And I think if you go 0-2 at home to start the year and your wins over Sanford, you might get the handshake on the way off the field. Even if you finish out a few more games. A&M guys, after a loss to Notre Dame, because if everybody's saying Florida's not a good team, well, then you better not lose to them. A&M hadn't won on the road in over 1,000 days in the SEC. And since Mike Elko was the DC.
Wow.
Something's got to give in this game, guys. And, Napier's starting Graham Mertz, but Lagwell probably play. But is A&M going to be able to score enough points? Are they going to look better offensively? They're going to have to score enough points to win this game, because if they don't, suddenly that schedule looks tougher because Arkansas is pretty good on offense and Bowling Green took Penn State to the wire.
Yeah. I've got two games where I think scary hours could come pretty quickly, and I'm going to keep using that term this year. For those that were on the live thread of the game, I mean, we saw scary hours creep up after Texas went up 17-3, and then after that fumble, scary hours were there in Ann Arbor, and the game was basically over after that. But we're using that term once again. 2 spots: Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah,
that was an ugly performance. They're dealing with a lot of injuries on the wide receiver spot. That offensive line, a lot of injuries there too. Quarterback, looking like what we expected the quarterback to look like. Not a game changer, not a game breaker, just a guy right now. They need a confidence boost. Tulane's a pretty solid team right now. If they play anything like that Houston game, you might be looking at 2-1 after this week. And then at the very bottom, we're going to Auburn, Alabama. Auburn cannot be losing to Cal. You just can't be losing to Cal. And now they play a team with a very dynamic quarterback in Devin Dampier. If you've been watching New Mexico at all this year, I'm not sure why you have been, but I have been. Very dynamic two-way quarterback right there. That could be another game in which Hugh Freeze is looking at a potentially 2-game losing streak before SEC play starts. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but scary hours are looking upon Auburn and Norman, Oklahoma this weekend.
I'm going to throw one more out. If LSU loses at South Carolina,
I was going to talk about that one. Yeah, that's a good
one.
Go
ahead, Rod, because it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly in the BR. It's going to get ugly in the BR.
I was going to say that one's interesting because I don't really know how good LSU is.
I don't either. Still don't.
Yeah, and I know we did. That could, if South Carolina ends up pulling the upset, that things can get interesting down in LSU real fast. So that one intrigues me. And honestly, I don't know. Missouri hasn't played anybody, but man, they're looking good. They haven't played anybody yet, but the little bit of sample size we have, they look really good. Boston College is way better than everybody thinks.
Yes.
That's one I want to watch. That's 2 ranked teams, by the way. At Boston College, I think it's like 24th or something like that.
Hey, Rod, that's a great call. Boston College is a hard team to play against, because Castellanos, the quarterback, he's from Kingsland, Camden County in South Georgia. I think he was originally at UCF. He is a really good athlete. He's built like a running back. So when he's on the move, it's like trying to tackle a running back. And the crazy thing, I was watching, and we know FSU's struggling, but the crazy thing, if you watch the Boston College FSU game, my thought was, that guy's forcing Bill O'Brien to change what he ideally wants to do in the college game. And I actually think Castellanos is making Bill O'Brien better versus Bill O'Brien making Castellanos better.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, CJ.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, there's one winner of the offseason whenever Bill O'Brien left Ohio State, and it was Ohio State. Now to hear that the quarterback is uplifting Bill O'Brien in this sense, I mean, we've seen him struggle and kind of tear teams down from the top, right? But for Boston College to be where they're at right now, that's really impressive. So, hey, also, I see the comment as well about Hudson Card. I believe they play Notre Dame from Randy Jones, right? Hudson Card's been off to a tremendous start to this year.
Definitely good.
I want to say Pro Football Focus has him rated as a top 5 quarterback in all of the country at the moment. 2 weeks in, I get it, but heck of a start for the former Longhorn quarterback.
Yeah.
I want to say one other thing on LSU, South Carolina. 2 things. LSU lost their best D tackle for the year, Guillory, last week against Nichols. Out for the year. The other thing, all the freshman wide receivers in America are getting the hype, and justifiably so. Jeremiah Smith's a talent. Ryan Williams, to me, looks like and I'm not saying this is a compliment, it's not a slide on, a better version of Xavier Worthy. I mean, that's high praise, but that's what I think Ryan Williams is. I've always thought he was that way. And Ryan Wingo. The receivers are studs in this freshman class. But the best freshman in college football is Dylan Stewart, the edge at South Carolina. And if you haven't seen him, you talk about a guy that's going to be a top 10 pick. There's one.
He could go this year, Jerry.
He's a stud.
What year is he?
Freshman.
Is he gonna stay in South Carolina? Is the question.
Listen, if they're holding on to Nick Harbor, I wouldn't discount anything about what South Carolina could do. Those are two of, if not the 2 freakiest kids in all of the country the last 2 years, ending up at South Carolina. They're certainly close to that, and so far they've held on to Nick Harbor. What was he, about 6'5", Jerry, 220, 230, running 10?
Ran 20.3 in the 200, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think they got enough in the coffers to keep 2 or 3 of those studs there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. No, that's what I was wondering if somebody would come get him if they're that, obviously, that elite. All right. And my man Jerry's going to tell you about Duck Camp here before we get out of here. We got one more super chat as well. How about that one? Britt wants to know, do y'all think Jackson Arnold's living up to the hype?
No.
Simple. No. Cotton, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Cotton wants to know, gentlemen, more yards, Gibson or Wisner, Helm or Bond, Quinn or Arch? Love this show, guys. Hook 'em. I'll go first here. Better be Quinn with more yards, because otherwise he's gonna lose some steam in the Heisman race. Helm or Bond? I'm gonna go Bond just because they do seem to funnel targets to Bond in some ways early in the game. And I'm gonna agree with CJ. They're gonna open up the deep passing game, something we haven't seen, and that'll be Bond. So maybe he'll get easier yards that way on deep shots. And Gibson or Wisner? Ooh, that one's good. I'm gonna go Gibson. I'm gonna go with Jerry's prediction. So
I hope we're not filling out your fantasy card for this weekend. I've been missing on my bets lately. I just watched the most rigged tennis match of all time. But Rod, I agree with you. I like Bond. I like Quinn. I actually think that running back one could be a toss-up. I think Trey gets loose at some point this week. Just getting skinny the way that we've seen him run hard against Michigan. Impressive stuff. Will Gibson have a longer time on the field? Perhaps I could see that with this game getting out of hand. But that's the one toss-up there. Otherwise, I feel good about Bond and Quinn.
All right, Jerry, tell the folks about our friends over at Duck Camp before we get out of here for the evening.
I will certainly do that. Duck Camp is made for people that like to live in the moments out there, whether it's fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, or football to watch Saturday night in DKR. They like doing all that stuff, so they built a company centered on it, based in Austin and dedicated to people giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. There are those of you out there that look forward to the opening day of hunting season and the kickoff of Longhorn football every Saturday with the fervor and excitement of a 5-year-old on Christmas morning. And Duck Camp is here to let you know this. From opening day to game day, Duck Camp has got you covered. At Duck Camp, they believe you can't just sit around and wait for the adventure to come to you. You got to get out there, stay out there, and make the most of every single second. Here's the great seasons, y'all. Yes, hunting and football, which is, what's amazing thing about that, Reed? Texas did both in Ann Arbor Saturday.
Well done. Well done. I like that link. I like you correlating. Yeah, like that was well done. Now, thank you to Duck Camp. Thanks, Jerry, for the message there as well. And thank you to all you guys for the super chats and all your participation in the show today. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to Andy Ludicky as well. Thank you also to Duck Camp. We appreciate them, and Home Field Apparel. Thanks to Matthew behind the scenes, because Matthew's the real MVP. None of this would happen without him. Tomorrow we got coffee and football at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So you want to be up early for that. Also, we'll have the winning drive with myself, CJ Vogel, and Coach Bob Shipley. That'll be starting around 3:15 tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. Thank you guys, and we really appreciate you helping us build this On Texas community. Feels like a family, because that's how much you guys mean to us. All right, so until next time, we'll talk to you guys same time, same channel. You know how it works. Hook 'em horns.